Hello, students! Today we are going to learn about something many of us see every day, a simple cup of tea. But have you ever wondered where it comes from? Our lesson today, Tea from Assam, is not just a lesson, it's a story. We will go on a journey to the beautiful tea gardens of Assam with two young friends, and through their eyes, we'll discover the history and the hard work that goes into every cup. So let's begin.
Chai garam, garam chai. I'm sure many of you have heard this sound, haven't you? It's the call of a tea seller, a chaiwala, on a train. This sound immediately tells us where our story is starting, on a busy Indian train, beginning an exciting adventure. So, who is on this train? Well, we have our two main characters. Meet Pranjal, a young boy from Assam, and his classmate Rajveer, who is from Delhi. They are good friends, and they are traveling together for their summer holidays to visit Pranjal's home.
Now you see, this trip means something different for each of them. For Pranjal, it is just going home. His father is the manager of a tea garden there, so this world is very familiar to him. But for Rajveer, everything is new and exciting. This is his very first time visiting a tea garden, and he can't wait to see it. As the train moves further and further away from the city, the view outside the window starts to change. We are going to see this beautiful scenery through the eyes of Rajveer, who is looking out with so much excitement at the amazing green views of Assam. At first, Rajveer sees the soft green paddy fields, the fields where rice is grown. But then, suddenly, everything changes. The paddy fields disappear, and instead, there is a huge, endless sea of green tea bushes. It looks like a green ocean that stretches on and on, as far as he can see. And in this vast green landscape, Rajveer sees something else. He sees tiny figures moving between the rows of tea bushes. From the moving train, they look like small doll-like figures. These are the tea pluckers, carrying big bamboo baskets on their backs, carefully picking the tea leaves. Seeing all of this, Rajveer shares an amazing fact he has learned. He tells Pranjal that over 80 crore cups of tea are drunk all over the world every single day. Can you imagine that? It just shows how popular this drink really is. Pranjal just smiles. For him, this is home. He calls it tea country. And he is right. Assam has the perfect climate and soil for growing tea. In fact, it has the largest number of tea plantations anywhere in the world. As Pranjal says, you can see so many gardens there, it feels like they will never end. Rajveer did his homework. Before his trip, he has read many things about tea, and he is very excited to share what he knows. He starts telling Pranjal the different stories about how tea was first discovered. So now our journey goes from looking at the gardens to looking at the history inside a teacup. Rajveer talks about two very interesting legends. The first story is about a Chinese emperor. He always used to boil water before drinking it. One day, a few leaves from a twig burning nearby fell into his pot of boiling water, and it gave the water a delicious flavor. And that's how tea was discovered. The second one is an Indian legend about a Buddhist monk named Bodhidharma. He used to feel very sleepy during his meditations, so to stop himself from sleeping, he cut off his eyelids. It is said that 10 tea plants grew from these eyelids, and the leaves of these plants helped him stay awake. Now, it is very important for us to understand that these two stories are legends. And what is a legend? A legend is a traditional story that people have told for a very long time. They are interesting stories, but we don't have proof that they are historically true. They are not authenticated facts. So after the legends, what are the actual facts? Rajveer also shares what history tells us. The fact is that tea was first drunk in China, a very, very long time ago, around 2700 BC. It only reached Europe much later in the 16th century. And when it first came to Europe, people used it more as a medicine than as the refreshing drink we know today. Finally, the train journey ends and the boys reach Jakhiabari, which is the tea estate where Pranjal's father works. Now, all the things Rajveer has read in books are right in front of him, and he gets to see the real journey of tea, right from the bush to our cup. The first thing they see is just how organized the tea garden is. As far as the eye can see, there are acres and acres of tea bushes, and all of them are very carefully and neatly cut or pruned to the exact same height. It shows how much care goes into growing good tea. Let's look at the simple steps of how tea is made. First, the tea bushes are planted and grown on these large estates. Next comes the plucking, where workers carefully pick only the newly sprouted, tender leaves. After that, a tractor takes all these leaves to a factory for processing. And finally, the tea is dried and packaged, ready to be sent to people all over the world.
Rajveer's knowledge is very impressive. He sees the new leaves and tells Pranjal's father that this must be the second flush, or the sprouting period. This is the time between May and July when the best tea leaves grow. Pranjal's father is very surprised and impressed that Rajveer knows so much.
Okay, so we've traveled to Assam, and we have learned about the history of tea. But this lesson teaches us more than just facts about a drink. Let's take a moment to understand the deeper ideas in this story and how the author tells it to us. Think about how we learned all these facts. It wasn't like reading a boring textbook, was it? No. All the information was shared in a simple conversation between two friends. The author mixes facts with a fun travel story. And because Rajveer is so curious and asks so many questions, we also get to learn everything right along with him. Even though Rajveer knows a lot, he is still very humble. When Pranjal's father praises him, he says he hopes to learn much more during his visit. This is a very important quality for all of us students. It shows us that learning never stops, and we should always be curious to know more. So let's think about this for a moment. From our morning cup of chai to offering tea to any guest who visits our home, this drink is so important in India and in many other countries. Why do you think tea is such a special part of our daily lives?
So, what are the main ideas we take away from this lesson? First, it's about cultural exchange, how friends can share their knowledge and experiences. Second, it shows us the agricultural richness of our country and the importance of places like Assam. And finally, it teaches us about the joy of discovery, how much we can learn just by traveling and observing the world around us.
So the next time you have a cup of tea, I want you to pause for a moment. Think about its long journey from a small leaf in a beautiful garden in Assam. Remember the history, the culture, and the nature that is all held within that one simple cup. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful journey today.